Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a worth the buy or not foundation review on the very new Natasha Denona Transformatte Pore Vanishing Foundation. Sorry if I'm a little bit like out of it. It's early. I mean, it's not that early. It's 7:39 a.m. but I'm just exhausted, so I'm like but anyways, I feel like talking to you guys and everything will get my tiredness to go away. So this is what the foundation looks like in the packaging, and then you open it up and it looks like this. This foundation was, I want to say $44 or $48. I will have the exact price in my description box down below for you guys so you guys can check it out. Let's read a little bit more about this. Okay, so it's supposed to be a full coverage foundation that is matte, medium to high coverage matte foundation. It transfers the appearance of uneven skin textures, creating flawless, smooth looking skin thanks to its Star Botanic extract ingredient, Pore Reductal. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And you have 35 shades, and it says that it's made with silicone elastomers to provide elasticity and non-greasy feeling, as well as peptide technology to promote skin from unwanted bacteria. So that is the details of the foundation. So I'm excited to see how it's going to perform on my oily skin. I also do care a lot about my pores because I just like to look really perfected. One of the things I went ahead and did yesterday was I masked with a deep detox mask that is like a pore reducing mask, and I feel like it definitely made my skin feel really nice this morning, and it feels just soft and ready for the day. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. So I already went ahead and applied moisturizer and serum because it is early in the morning. So we got those things out of the way. I'm gonna quickly apply some lip balm because my lips need a little hydration. I also like to keep foundation off my lips. So for primer today, we're just going to be using my Fenty Beauty primer. And we're just gonna really go in there. I like how this primer goes on the skin. It's so smooth and easy to apply. I also like the fact that I feel like this really prolongs the wear of the product on my skin. It's also very refreshing and hydrating. Okay, so that is the primer on, and now we can move on to the foundation. So it comes in one of these types of packagings. As you can see, it has a pump. And then you can just kind of like squeeze the product out as you go. Like I mentioned, you guys know this is one of my favorite packagings for traveling purposes. It makes it very easy when you're traveling, and you can see that's what it looks like. It's definitely a runny consistency. I feel like it's because one of the main ingredients is water. So it's not one of those like super drying or like clay-like consistencies, even though it's matte, which we appreciate. I feel like I always like one of these type of consistencies better than something that's gonna be super thick. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with our beauty sponge. This one is by Morphe, and then we're gonna go ahead and do our brush so we can see which one performs better. I'm hoping that it'll match our neck perfectly. This is in the color 75Y. They have 35 colors, which I think is great. The only thing though is that I feel like whenever they have so many colors, it's really hard to find the perfect shade online. I feel like this one will work. It actually matches like my hand pretty well. But then again, I feel like my hands are always a little bit darker than my body. I don't know why. I probably need to exfoliate them. We use our hands the most, so probably need to exfoliate that. But this is the product on. I feel like I'm definitely seeing it be a not so full coverage finish. I feel like I need to go in with more. Even with that one pump, I don't have any product left, and I feel like I need more. Right now, just with this amount of product, it feels like I have a tinted moisturizer. Honestly, it doesn't even feel like I have anything on. So I'm gonna have to go in with one more. And I'm really gonna target the product around my cheek area because that's where I have the most redness. I really like how it sets in the skin. It looks very, very skin-like. It looks like a very thin layer of foundation. It's not like a heavy layer. You can tell the difference between a heavy layer of foundation and a thin layer of foundation, and I think this is more of a thin layer of foundation. It's definitely setting matte. Right away, setting matte. It looks like we have a powder over it in like a good way. It doesn't look ugly or anything like that. And it definitely looks very smooth. So that's probably the biggest difference. Because I know a lot of times foundations claim to be matte and they're honestly not matte. And I'm just like, what the heck? Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do this side. And as you guys saw, we had to do 2 layers of foundation because that was the only way it was gonna cover the redness. So unless you have really evened out skin, then you don't have to do 2 layers. You probably can get away with 1. But still, I feel like it's not a very like full coverage capacity. I think it's more of like medium coverage. Okay, definitely still sheer looking on this side too. It's blending out very nicely with the brush, I do have to say. Like, it just feels very good and evened out. This is what it looks like with 1 layer. I feel like it definitely covered a little bit more. We're still going to have to go in with 1 more pump of the foundation just because I feel like there's areas where I could still use a little bit more coverage. But overall, I do see the difference between 1 layer with a brush and 1 layer with a sponge. I also don't like that this packaging is white just because it's already getting super dirty and it just bugs me. But then again, it's foundation. What do you expect? It's supposed to get dirty like that. So that is the product on the face, ready to go. You can see that, like I mentioned, I feel like it does have a better and faster application when you go in with a brush. I feel like because it's not absorbing that product, it just sinks in faster and it actually like goes on quicker than you using a sponge. If you feel like it being sheer with the sponge, then you should probably go in with a brush. I do have to say that the foundation looks very beautiful up close. It just looks like skin. It also looks nice and matte. It does not look like it has radiance. It's like a pretty matte. It's not like one of those mattes that you're like, oh my God, I look so flat. There's people that like matte foundations that are like normal and dry skin, that there's no way they could use a foundation that's gonna be looking flat or too thick because it'll just look so drying on them. So I think it's good that they make such lightweight formulas now because it's able to really be great for all different types of skin. Wow, I think it did a really good job of minimizing my pores. You can barely see my pores. And usually with foundations that doesn't happen. Like, I have to use a pore minimizing primer in order for the foundation to look like it's poreless. The color is definitely a little bit darker than my neck. If I had to go back, I would probably go with the shade down with the yellow undertone because I feel like this one is definitely a little bit more on the dark side. Like, I could not wear this in the winter type of situation. It's always really hard, guys, to shade match 35 colors on Sephora.com. Like, I spend literally an hour and a half trying to figure out what my shade is. And sometimes I like to go a little bit darker just because I get worried that if I go with the lighter shade, it's gonna be too light. I really spent a lot of time trying to figure it out and I still feel like this shade is not the perfect shade. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is I'm gonna finish the rest of my makeup and then I'm gonna come back and give you guys my first initial thoughts. Okay, so I am back right now. It is 8:25 a.m. So it's been probably about like a good 45 minutes since we last spoke, and I have some well-developed thoughts and first impressions on this foundation by Natasha Denona. First things first, I have to say it looks very beautiful on the skin. I do have to say I went ahead and baked my under eyes. You guys know the drill. When I conceal, I have to bake. I also baked the area where I do my blush, like underneath. I don't do it often, but I just kind of wanted to give it a more defined look down here. And I do have to say that unfortunately this foundation does not work that great with baking. This area right here and also this area, more so this one, it looks very dry down there. And I had a hard time blending out the baking powder after the 5 minutes that I had it on. Like, I had to go in with 2 brushes. First, I went in with my Morphe M433 and I was like trying to blend it out and I was like, this is not working. So I then had to go in with this Real Techniques fluffy brush and blend the life out of it because it was just having such a hard time blending out that I needed to go in with the next level type of brush. Now, this side, I did have some issues. It was a little bit easier to blend, but not too much. It was still hard, but you can see that there's some dryness going on. You can really see the dryness on this side. I don't know if you guys can see it from your distance, but right here I can see it. And when I smile, it kind of like wrinkles up. I think it's because of the powder and like how it was baking. The under eyes don't look bad. They do look a little dry, and I think it also has to do with the fact that this foundation, when it does set, it does have that matte consistency. It does look like a matte finish. So you're getting a true matte foundation, and I feel like it does kind of have issues with powder when you're setting it for too much. So I feel like you really kind of have to eye whatever you're baking, and sometimes just maybe go in with like 3 minutes and then remove it, because if you leave it on for too long, it's really going to dry up and it's not gonna look pretty on your skin. But I feel like the main issue today was that it does not work well with powders. You definitely wanna kind of like avoid powdering as much as you can. I also wanna say that when I went in with my blush, it blended out super beautifully. I feel like it gave the blush such a nice finish. And even though it's matte, I know a lot of times matte foundations for me, whenever I wear certain products, they tend to break apart because they were heavier, but this one, the blush is like perfectly in place. I do have to say though, another thing that I'm noticing right now though about the foundation that I didn't notice earlier is that I have these like lines in my forehead, and I guess because I was making facial expressions like that, it started to separate. So you see like 2 lines right there, because it's separating with the foundation. So once that foundation sets, you have to be careful with it. So I'm gonna go back in and kind of blend that out. But that's just something to know. But everything else looks pretty nice. I do like the fact that it just makes the skin look super airbrushed, but I'm also seeing the issues of the foundation. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is I'm gonna go ahead and carry on with the rest of my day. I'm gonna try to wear this for as long as I possibly can to really get a good feel out of it and give you guys my thoughts. So stay tuned. Okay, so I am back. It is now 3:21 p.m. and the foundation looks extremely, extremely dewy. You can see, especially around the nose area, it looks very, very dewy. I wanted to do this check-in because there's natural daylight here. There's like 3 big windows so you guys could see the color. I feel like the color isn't too bad, especially once we're in like natural daylight. I feel like it's fine. But look at all this oil, man. It looks so good at the beginning of the day, but now it just looks really, really insane. Like I have to go blot. I'm gonna blot my nose area, and I'm also going to blot my T-zone, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and did some blotting. I used my Fenty Beauty blotting tissues, and it looks much better. It took me 3 sheets of tissue to blot all of this. It was really intense, and it definitely removed some of the makeup on my face. So, I mean, it's 3 p.m. and the dew is definitely coming through. So now it looks a lot better. It still looks nice, but it definitely does remove the product from your skin. So that's just something to note. So I'm gonna go ahead and carry on with the rest of my day, and then I will see you guys at the end of the day and give you guys my very final thoughts on this Natasha Denona Transformatte foundation. Transformatte foundation. Yeah, okay. See you guys soon. Okay guys, so I'm back. It is now 7 p.m. at night, and I am just exhausted. Today was a really long day, but I'm ready to give you guys my final thoughts on this Natasha Denona foundation. Natasha Denona Transformatte Pore Vanishing Foundation, if I say so. Where is it? Where did I put it? I just had it. Oh, it's... Okay, so I'm ready to talk about this foundation, and I think you guys can see it for yourself. It looks very, very oily. I saw you guys around 3 p.m. I had to blot, and it is now 7 p.m. and still the same thing, very, very oily. It looked very fantastic at the beginning of the day. For probably about 3 or 4 hours, it looked really, really good, like really good. You guys know I have very oily skin, so for me, it's very hard to find really good bulletproof matte foundation. So I have to say that if you guys have really oily skin, really, really oily skin, this isn't gonna do anything for you. It's not gonna be the one for you. And the hardest part was that because this foundation, it doesn't work well with powders and like baking and stuff like that, there's no point. Like, I know some foundations I'm like, it'll be okay because I can still bake and it'll be fine through the day. But this one, if you bake, it really cakes up and looks really dry and just nasty. So no go for people that have really oily skin. I do have to say, for people that have like normal skin to combination skin, I think this will definitely keep you nice and matte. Especially for my normal skin people, it will be like a nice matte consistency. For somebody that has that combo skin, I think it will hold up pretty good for probably about like 5 or 6 hours, and then you're probably gonna have to retouch depending on how oily you can get. But for somebody that's looking for a super duper bulletproof mattifying foundation, I really don't recommend this. To be honest, I still think that the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin is the way to go if you have really, really oily skin. So that's just right away what I think. Those are my thoughts. It does feel lightweight. I do have to say that I did like that about the foundation. And like I mentioned, the first few hours it looks beautiful. But after that, now we're looking like a glazed donut and I'm ready to take this off. I also do have to applaud them for their shade range. They do have a large shade range. 35 shades is so awesome. And I really am grateful that they did that. Natasha Denona is headed in the right direction. But I think that this was a definite miss for me and I don't think it's worth the money. So I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you guys have any other recommendations for foundation reviews, please let me know. NYX foundation is coming up next. I actually just got it in the mail. It's right here. And if you guys enjoyed watching this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Lets me know to continue doing these videos for you guys. And don't forget to subscribe. I would love for you to become a member of family here on YouTube because I wouldn't want you guys to miss my videos for the world. And we're just getting up there, guys. You guys are really slaying the game with subscribing because we are growing super fast. Almost halfway to 19,000, and then we can just get to our goal of 20,000. That would just be so amazing. So I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon for a brand new video. Bye, guys.